whoever talks into the mics will be there. And they haven't muted themselves. I was getting it in my ear.
Oh.
She drops her gaze to her shelves. Rhubarb? She holds the dried stalk in her hand for a moment. Yes, rhubarb, to purge the stomach, to drive out the pestilence. At the word, she is aware of letting out a small noise, like the whimper of a dog.
What?
She leans her head into the plaster of the wall. She thinks, my daughter. She thinks, those swellings. She thinks, this cannot be. I will not have it. I will not permit it. She seizes her pestle and brings it down with a thump into the mortar, scattering powders and leaves and roots over the table. Hamnet is out down the path into the backyard and at the door of the cookhouse, where his grandmother is fossicking in a barrel of onions, and the maid is standing beside her, apron held out, ready to receive whatever Mary will see fit to toss into it. The fire blasts and cracks in the grate, its flames reaching up to bait and correct.
Patrice, can you hear me okay? Whoop.
Morning, Scott.
Well, Mr. Milton, how are you?
So far, so good.
Yeah, you look good.
Thank you. Hollywood has been calling, but I
Really?
haven't had the phone. Yeah.
I was thinking of something surprisingly wise to say like that, but I didn't want to push it too far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're all set to go in front of the down in the big house.
Yeah, next week.
Yep. You got your
Going to the
robe and
big,
your
going to the
crown.
big house.
I guess I'm supposed to say something nice about you as I introduce you or something. I don't know. Gosh,
Wow.
that's gonna be so hard to come up with something.
You can ad lib.
Yeah. The difficult part is going to be checking off all the good stuff. Fun.
The request from the Salmon Federation.
Yeah. It's
We
kind of
might
died,
be.
isn't it?
Oh yes, but we might be able to do something through the TIF money under the recreation program for salmon fishing.
Well, I think that's what they were looking for, but now they're backed away a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And Greg, that was I thought you got that email. If not, I'll look and I'll send it to you. But Greg Lounder had sent something indicating that the purchase, I think they figured the purchase was being done a little too quickly. So they're gonna, yep. He wants to meet with us. So.
Yeah, I know Greg from.
Yep.
Way back.
Yeah. MRC, is that what I'm thinking of?
Yep.
Well, good to see you this morning.
See you.
Scott, did it all snow there? Is it mixing a little bit?
It just, morning, Paul, it just, probably a couple hours ago now it picked up. I got up at like 2:30ish and it really wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, no, I started plowing at about 4 and then it started mixing a little bit here.
Yeah.
Now it's looking, well, it's mixing still, so.
Yeah, it's heavy snow right now. We've probably gotten most of it in the last couple hours.
Yeah.
I've probably got 4 to 5, maybe 6 by now.
We got probably, 6, we got a good 6.
Really?
Yeah.
But you got the rain coming.
Yeah. I can never, if somebody ever wanted to know how to plow, they should do the opposite of what I do.
I know just enough to get me out of trouble most of the time.
I seem to get it up right at the wrong time and then it's all icy after that.
Yeah. Well, you probably have to, you can't really wait to plow in like around the store and things like that, or
No, I got to do it before.
yeah,
Before
the
6:30.
public coming in.
So,
Yeah.
Then whenever I get a chance or after we close, really.
Right. Oh, there, now I can see people.
Oh,
Morning, everyone.
morning,
Morning, Bill. Morning, Patrice.
morning.
Seeing more. Hi, Tim. Miller.
All of a sudden we get a party.
Yeah. There's John. Good morning, John.
Morning, John.
I don't see John or Commissioner Clark, but good morning anyway. Oh, there you, okay, now I get you. And I saw Rebecca somewhere.
Yeah, I'm here. If you can see me today.
Oh, now you're down the lower left. Okay.
Yeah. In the red room.
Yes.
Okay, gentlemen. I have 8:30.
Yep.
I'm going to call the Hancock County Commissioners' regular February 2nd, 2021 meeting to order. Gentlemen, are there any adjustments to the agenda?
I'm going to move to approve the amended agenda as presented.
Second that.
Moved and seconded to move the present agenda. All those in favor, Commissioner Wambacher,
Yes.
Commissioner Parity,
Yes.
and I am myself. I think Andy Sankey from EMA is hosting this morning. There's several participants, several visitors this morning on this. I'd like to get Commissioner Wambacher on my first screen. Rebecca, is that something that Andy can control or you can control?
No, I don't think so. I think those who have their cameras on will be, those will be on the, those will be more prominent, listed first. So if others would like to shut their cameras off, they can still participate in the meeting, but that would sort of bump him up.
No, that's it's not that critical.
Commissioner Clark, this is Andrew Braley here. If you go
Yes,
to if you go to the person you would like to select, the little 3 dots, if you hit that button next to their mute button, you should see a pin, and I believe you should be able to pin for yourself.
Well, that's what I'm looking for, but you're going to have to give those directions to me a little more succinct here. You're talking about a very untechnical person. What am I looking for, Mr. Braley?
Right at their photo, you should see, are there 3 dots to the upper right?
Oh, there we go. Yes. Pin.
Yep.
Now what?
And then pinning it should keep it to your front there.
Well, he's filling
And
the
if someone
screen.
else is suggested in the chat, you can drag their picture to where you would like it to sit.
Well, he's filling the screen. All I got is about 6 other people. I made a comment yesterday that, quote, I'm not the least bit concerned about COVID because I'm going to die of ulcers over this Zoom technology. No, that did not work, Mr. Braley. What can I do to reverse that?
Follow the same process to just unpin it.
Remove pin. Well, now I have Rebecca full screen. How can I get back to the,
Commissioner Clark, if you go to the top right-hand corner, you'll see a, it looks like 9 dots and the word view. If you click on that and then click on gallery view, you'll be back to where you started.
Mary Ann, thank you very much. I
You're welcome.
appreciate it. I'm back where I want to be, I guess. I'm really sorry, folks. This is Bulldog's new trick stuff here. All right, let's see if we can proceed this morning. Commissioners, I want to let you know that I have a storm-related issue I need to attend to about 5 minutes to 10 this morning. It'll tie me up less than probably 10 minutes. So as we near that time, we'll see where we are and see if we want to recess, or I'll turn the gavel over to John. He can chair the meeting until I can return again. And before we take public comment this morning, I want to briefly report that jail officials and Healthy Arcadia are presently working on a memorandum of understanding that would bring recovery coaching back into the jail. The jail administrator has set aside some time this coming Friday for the first recovery session, and it appears by next week, Healthy Arcadia will be operating at full capacity. At this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to our Assistant County Administrator, Rebecca, who has some instructions about those who wish to make a public comment this morning. Rebecca?
Sure, thanks. So if you wish to make a public comment this morning, we have 95 people in the meeting, so we're going to try to do this as efficiently as possible. So if you could send a private message in the Zoom chat to Patrice Crossman. She's our clerk and she's in the meeting. She's compiling a list of those who wish to make a public comment. She's going to send that to County Administrator Adkins, and he's going to list the names one by one when it's time for public comment. And hopefully we'll get through each speaker that way. If we miss you somehow, you know, at the end, just let us know, raise your hand, let us know somehow that we missed you. We don't want to miss anyone. So that's how we'll handle it. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Rebecca. We'll now go into the public comment section. Sheriff Kane has asked to make a public comment this morning. Sheriff, are you with us?
Good morning, Commissioner. I am. Can you hear me okay? Can everybody hear me all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm all set. We are in an incredibly volatile time in our country, a time driven by politics and hateful rhetoric. Words and actions matter. We all need to be better at carefully choosing how we act and what we especially say in such a charged atmosphere. As a society, we must return to civil discourse and whenever possible, give each other the benefit of the doubt. Today, I renew my commitment to live out those values as Hancock County Sheriff. Over the past few years, law enforcement has come under microscopic scrutiny. For some, those who wear the badge are viewed in a negative light. Quite frankly, that's wrong. It's also wrong to assume that those who are passionate about improving race relations in America are only advocating to defund the police and inflict harm on those who swear to protect and serve. I could have handled the situation regarding healthy recovery coaches from Healthy Acadia differently. It was an emotional reaction to words said and positions taken by some in Black Lives Matter movement, specifically against law enforcement. The Hancock County Sheriff's Office will continue working for all people, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, gender, and sexual orientation. As we move forward, I would ask that everyone have the patience and understanding with each other as we navigate the complex and multifaceted issues of our time. I have no further comment after this for now.
Okay, Rebecca, what is the process for selecting the next person to speak?
So County Administrator Adkins is going to list the names one by one. Are you good with that, Scott?
I'm waiting. Patrice, where did you send that list to?
I sent it to both of you just about 2 minutes ago.
Okay. Would you be able to read off that list of names and I'll do the timing?
Yep, I can do that. Or unless you want to, Patrice.
No, go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, so the first one we have on the list is Hendrik Gideons. And there he is.
Here.
Yeah.
I am going to reserve my comment and submit it in writing. The sheriff's statement renders my statement only historically relevant. I wish he had apologized for what he said, but I will send the written thing to you directly. I'm not sure how to do the private chat stuff. That's a new wrinkle for me, but I will get it to you somehow, Rebecca.
Okay, great. Thanks. You can email it if you wish.
I will.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, so now we have David Jolly.
Thank you. So basically what I wanted to say is I think I appreciate Sheriff Kane's comments this morning, and I too wish that he had apologized for some of his statements, but I do appreciate them. But I do have to point out that I think that there has been a real failure of leadership here. I think that Sheriff Kane totally mischaracterized the Black Lives Matter movement, a grassroots movement that is trying to work for racial justice. And yes, there was some violence in a few of the protests last summer. Over 90% of them were very peaceful, though. And the violence was not from the leaders of Black Lives Matter. It was from others who are not associated with the organization. So I think he's mischaracterized Black Lives Matter. And then in breaking this contract or agreement with Healthy Acadia, he discredited a really vital community organization that was expressing its First Amendment rights, expressing a view of support for racial justice and for Black Lives Matter movement that is working for racial justice. And finally, in these actions, he deprived jail inmates of a critical service. And he's deprived them of that service for well over 6 months. So I think somehow the county commissioners need to address his failure of leadership at this critical time. And I'll end my comments there.
Okay, Leslie Ross.
I'm sorry, no, I'm going to leave my comment to others at the moment. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Beth Alteri. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right.
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Beth.
Okay. Tracy Crossman.
I guess I'm all set, but I did not put my name in to speak, so I'm not sure where that came from.
Okay.
Edward?
All right.
Thank you.
How about Donna Mitchell?
I didn't put my name in to speak either. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. How about Anna Durand?
Hi, thank you. My name is Anna Durand. I've been a small business owner for the last 28 years in Bar Harbor. I'm a mother of 4. Sheriff Kane's statement this morning is too little, too late. He will not be able to regain the trust of Hancock County citizens. He should resign. Thank you.
Okay. Susan Buell.
Susan, you're muted.
Oh, you see her? Okay.
There we go. Hi there. I live in Southwest Harbor. I have questions about why we just learned about this, why it just became public, why the Bangor Daily now picked it up 7 months later. So I have a question about that. And second is, I don't understand how a sheriff has the power to deprive inmates, people incarcerated in the county jail, deprive them of health, of medical and need. I mean, I just don't understand how he, because he decided that Black Lives Matter was this or was that, deprived the people incarcerated. They could not, their medical needs could not be taken care of. And their future was impacted as well. And our future as our community was impacted as well. So that's a question I have for the commissioners, I guess, or maybe for the legislature. I see a few legislators are here. So that's a question I have. I hope someone will answer it. And I don't feel that, excuse me, Sheriff Kane's statement was good enough. I would like an apology to the people incarcerated, apology to people who care deeply about racial justice, and of course to the Black Lives Matter group. And if more control is not placed on sheriffs, I worry about all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay, Elaine Hughes.
I didn't put my name on the list.
You didn't, okay.
Thanks, Elaine.
All right, thanks. How about Sarah Schneider?
My name was also not on the list.
All right.
So if there are others who were on the list that would like to talk, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Reverend Charles Stevens.
Yes, this is Reverend Charles Stevens. I live in Blue Hill. I'm a 72-year-old retired minister who's served as an ordained minister for over 44 years. I have marched in Black Lives Matter marches in Ellsworth, and in which we applauded the Hancock County Police for being there. I feel like has been said that what Sheriff Kane has said is much too little, much too late. Actually, it's inadequate. If I were a person of color and were stopped in traffic by Sheriff Kane, I would fear for my life. I just think this is embarrassing for Hancock County. It's criminal to the people locked up in Hancock County Jail that they were deprived of needed services. Like has been said, I'm shocked that this came out 6 months later. I'm ashamed that I haven't been more active myself in finding out such news. I urge the county commissioners to keep this conversation going. After what happened on January 6th, in Washington, D.C., one could say that those Republican terrorists who supported Mr. Trump represent the Republican Party. Therefore, all Republicans are terrorists, which is ridiculous. As ridiculous as what Sheriff Kane said. He allowed his own prejudices, his own feelings, to overcome his public responsibilities. I'm embarrassed for our county.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
Okay, thanks. David Wida.
Remember, folks, make sure you're not muted when you start talking. It's a common habit. He should be on air. He's
Mm-hmm.
well.
Okay.
We can move along if he comes back.
Yep. Okay. Sure. How about Justine Appel?
Hi. Yes. Thank you. That statement and the fact that Sheriff Kane is no longer in this meeting is devastating to me.
Right.
I'm an elementary school educator in this area. I'm trying to raise and teach a generation of children to know how to articulate their ideas, to engage with others who think differently from them, to listen, and to apologize when they've been wrong. It was particularly devastating to hear someone admit that an emotional reaction led them to make a decision that harmed so many people. There's no way that a woman could say that in a leadership position and get away with it. The microscopic scrutiny that Scott Kane referred to is recent in the history of racial violence in our country, which is centuries long. The politically charged environment he referred to is only because white folks and law enforcement are starting to be held accountable. There is no healing without accountability. We need an apology. I ask Sheriff Kane and all those present to read the Black Lives Matter platform, to learn about this movement for liberation that benefits all of us. And for the sake of the children we teach and the people on our peninsula, to hold these actions accountable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. How about Nathan Dane? Do you wish to make a comment?
No, I'm not on the list.
All right. David Wida, I know you sent me a message. Are you still interested in making a comment? How about Sarah Elliott?
Thank you, Rebecca. I just wanted to ask the commissioners and anyone else in power on this platform. I feel like both with the riot gear and then this decision, it was only when public attention was brought to this that changes were made. And I'm wondering if we are doing anything to look into any other decisions that might have been made in order to see whether or not they were emotional decisions and whether or not they need to be addressed as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joanna Chass?
I'm not seeing her.
Okay, let's see. Did I miss anyone else? The only two names that I have left are Joanna Chass and David Wida. Let's see.
Am I being heard? I would like to ask a question. My name is Derek Cole.
Sure, okay. Derek. Yep, go ahead.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I'm going to go off script a little bit. I'm not looking at the participants list right now. Is Sheriff Kane with us right now?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Is he supposed to be with us? Should I hold my comment and maybe we could get him back on?
That's up to Sheriff Kane, whether he's on or not. If you want to
Okay.
make a comment
Oh,
directly
it is.
to him.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, so a little bit off script here. I did have something written, which I will get to. David Wida is probably having technical difficulties, and I'll make fun of him later. David and I are meeting weekly on the Bucksport Verona Bridge every Saturday from 12:30 to 1:30. We represent a grassroots group called Solidarity Bucksport, and Black Lives Matter is our primary focus, along with a huge list of other items. We have been nothing but peaceful, yet in little Bucksport, Maine, we've had people stop their cars in traffic to get out and approach us on foot and scream and yell at us, being called many vulgar names. In fact, the local police department here has had to pull over several people for driving by us extremely fast, and probably some extremely loud illegal tailpipes, which, hey, I'm all about big trucks. It's fun, but come on, guys. Anyways, we welcome everybody to come out. Again, Bucksport, 12:30 to 1:30. And hey, on to my question. If Sheriff Kane's not here, I hope that he will be relayed this message. I did email it to the administrator. Sheriff Kane, why did you request batons for crowd control reasons? Did you anticipate this summer's Ellsworth Black Lives Matter demonstrations organized by pastors and high school students to become violent? I witnessed social media postings from prominent realtors calling for the exiles to intimidate the BLM demonstrations. I saw a landlord beside Knowlton Park sitting in his truck guarding his building. I heard of business owners witnessing the marches this summer on Main Street in Ellsworth, open carrying, holding a firearm, which they typically would not do. I heard rumors of businesses being approached and being told to watch out and to board their windows up. So I've lived in Hancock County my entire life, a short 32 years. I've never, ever witnessed violence on a mass scale, especially from peaceful demonstrations, which Ellsworth is very familiar with. We have folks standing on the bridge constantly. So I just got to ask Sheriff Kane, have you ever seen violence on a mass scale in Hancock County? And again, why did you need crowd control measures? I'm done. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, Rachel Singh.
Hi, my name is Rachel and I live in Franklin, Maine, obviously Maine. I think it's very telling that the sheriff is no longer even in this meeting, right? Like after giving a complete non-apology, right? And gaslighting all of us who are concerned about his behavior, he just left. So I'm wondering what kind of accountability is possible. That was not a good faith effort to right the wrong, right? All of us here are outraged about this for very good reasons. So my hope is that the county commissioners are going to take action when it's clear that the sheriff is not even willing to apologize to us. So what is your plan to hold him accountable so that this this is an embarrassment to our county, this disgraceful behavior doesn't continue? I understand that the specific issue is resolved, but it's totally clear, I think, to everybody here that the sheriff has learned nothing, right, from the blowback other than to entrench himself in his position. So he has no business being a public safety official in our community. He is no longer trustworthy. I value what someone said about if a person, I would not feel safe being stopped by this person in a traffic spot. And how can we have public safety when our public safety officials, right, cannot don't have the public trust, and he no longer has the public trust. So I think he needs to resign. And if he's not going to do that, I'm wondering what the county, what you all as elected officials in our community are going to do about that. I also, one thing I would suggest is putting out a statement that says Black lives do matter in Hancock County. We have a sheriff that obviously does not think so, obviously thinks that Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization, which makes absolutely no sense. So I feel that it is your responsibility as our county, as our representatives for our county, as our county government, to put out a statement that contradicts that and talk about the ways that you are going to show that Black Lives Matter in this community, that this is a safe place for everybody, not just white people, not just people who support the police. And I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Rachel. Joanna Chass?
Hear me?
Just barely.
Okay, let me, I don't know how to make myself any louder here.
That's a little better. Yeah.
Okay. I want to underline what many others have already said. Sheriff Kane's statement was embarrassing. There was no apology. There was no grasp whatsoever of what it was he had originally said. It's important to understand what terms mean. Terrorism is the furthest thing from what Black Lives Matter is. And on the other hand, there have been terrorist and hate crimes carried out under cover of darkness, such as the new Sundeer Isle Bridge, which nobody was ever brought to justice for. And these are precisely the reasons that Black Lives Matter has come into being. My sons and grandchildren are biracial, and I was genuinely worried about bringing them over to Deer Isle simply because of those events that were happening. This is real. These are terrorist and hate crimes, and for somebody to be in the position as a sheriff who is peddling the lie that the very organizations which are trying to bring these issues to light and stand up against them, to try to flip that and call them terrorists, that's serious. That is a lie, and that is not something we can have in a public servant. And I think he should not be our sheriff. And I just wanted to underscore some of these things that people were saying. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think David Wida is back.
Yep.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I lost my connection right at the moment I started my earlier chatting. So much of what I wanted to say has already been said. I'll make this brief. Sheriff Kane's comments this morning were inadequate in response to the behavior that we are just now learning of. I'm shocked that it happened back in June. I'd like to know when the commissioners learned of the canceling of the contract with Healthy Acadia, and if they knew about it prior to the article which came out in the Bangor Daily News, then I would like a thorough investigation of how they operate under a non-transparent situation where the public should have been informed. And the fact that Sheriff Kane said this morning that his comments were made sort of in the heat of the moment, an emotional response, and yet he had opportunities to backpedal and back away from that decision and make a better decision. I understand that those opportunities were missed because he stuck by his assessment of Black Lives Matter as being a terrorist organization, and that I'd like to speak to that as well. I have put together weekly demonstrations since August 31st in Bucksport to support the Black Lives Matter movement. And from the first day we gathered as a group, it was a bold group decision to appear every week and to maintain a peaceful demonstration. I've been to demonstrations in Bar Harbor, Ellsworth, Bangor, Augusta, and Belfast over the last 10 months. And I will tell you that there has been nothing but peaceful, thoughtful demonstrating on the part of the Black Lives Matter participants. Violence across the nation has been plaguing us through this process. And my estimation is that the violence comes from people who are not affiliated with Black Lives Matter, but are taking advantage of a situation. And that's a social situation that's out of our control. I would want the commission to answer my question as to when they learned about the rescinding of the contract with Healthy Acadia. And please explain, was that an actual contract, a legal contract, or was it a memorandum of understanding? Are they allowed to answer in the comment session like this.
Thank you, David.
I guess they are not allowed to answer a question that's put on the spot like this.
So, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Clark.
All I can say is that we guarantee everybody the ability to make a public comment. There is no guarantee of a response. This isn't an agenda item. This is your opportunity to speak on any topic you'd like. And so and we traditionally maintain the tradition of not responding, that if any type of back and forth discussion would have to be an agenda item. So the bottom line is I don't think we're going to be making a response this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Then I'll wrap my comments up with one final thought, and that is that I would have appreciated an apology for his remarks. Instead, I feel that he did his best to stand by his remarks. And at this point, I would ask that there's a thorough investigation. And I know that to remove an elected official from office requires the interaction with the governor. So if that is a final outcome, I think that that's where we need to go at this point. Let's have a thorough investigation. And I feel like the trust has been broken with our county citizens and the sheriff's department at this point. I would not want to be a person with a Black Lives Matter bumper sticker on my car traveling through Hancock County with the fear of being profiled. I don't like the thought of not comfortably, safely traveling when I go to Ellsworth to join their Black Lives Matter demonstrations. It's not a good situation, and I hope there's some resolution that will satisfy those of us who are very concerned about our society and the direction we're going right now at this crucial moment where we have an opportunity to do some wonderful progressive movement towards racial justice and equality, and dispelling the notion that all people in this world matter, when we don't have an opportunity for people who are marginalized because of their race, who are being further marginalized and singled out for unequal justice. And of course, I'm very sorry about the people that were in our jail and deprived of necessary services because of a unilateral decision based on false knowledge. Thank you.
Okay, Jason Lepper.
Yes, thank you. I had hoped I wouldn't feel the need to speak this morning. I had emailed the commissioners some thoughts and kind of in the aftermath of all this coming to light in the Bangor Daily. And I had reached out to Scott personally, hoping to be able to speak with him, but I didn't get a response. So I sent something to the commissioners. And I'm pleased that we're at least at this point that we're talking about getting Healthy Acadia back. I had hoped that we would get a sincere apology and that I would feel like we were making some progress, but I don't think that happened. I think all we really need to see is how many people from the community were willing to give their time to join this and to speak. And apparently Scott couldn't even stick around to hear that he really cares that little about what the community feels. And I hope this isn't the end of it. I hope this continues, and I hope there really is some follow through on this. I don't say this lightly. Thank you.
Thanks. Ann Schroth.
Hi, thank you. I live in Sedgwick. I grew up here and moved back here with 2 children of color. My son has been intimidated by the big truck with the Confederate flag in Blue Hill. I have had my Black Lives Matter sticker removed from my car in Blue Hill. The fact that Sheriff Kane left this meeting shows he doesn't care one single bit what we're all saying. It's clear that the only reason that he apologized or didn't apologize but made a statement is because of the public outcry 7 months after he fired Healthy Acadia for no good reason. I think an apology at minimum but really his statements show a dangerous bias on the part of the leader of the sheriff's department, which is inevitably trickling down through the entire department. Anti-racism training for the department should be required, and compensation for the inmates who were denied care from Healthy Acadia should also be required. The commissioners clearly have a legal means to take steps to hold him accountable with the governor. It's not easy, but I believe that what has happened shows that those steps should start to be taken. So thank you. That's all I'll say.
Thanks, Ann.
Kathy Omke. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly.
That's okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kathy Umke. I live in Mount Desert. I am a teacher. So many of the things that people have said are things that I want to echo, so I'll keep it short. I want to speak the names of the 3 Black women who started the Black Lives Matter movement: Opal Tometi, Alicia Garza, and Patrisse Cullors. They began this movement in response to the killings of Black men at the hands of police, Black people at the hands of police. And since 2013, when they began Black Lives Matter, hundreds more Black people have been killed at the hands of police in our country. Black Lives Matter is not a terrorist organization. It is a response to terror against Black lives and Black bodies. I am appalled and alarmed at the way that Sheriff Kane has behaved. I think that this is an intense breach of trust. I don't know how he could ever earn back the trust of the public. I feel for all the people who are talking about the fear that they feel because he is a leader in law enforcement in our community. And I demand that he resign, or that the commissioners take whatever action that they can take. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Okay, Jenny Kastelik.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I used to be a teacher in Sedgwick, and so I feel like I knew Scott Kane a bit personally because he educated the kids I worked with, and my own kids were at the school, and so he educated them, and I held them in very high regard. This has been extremely painful to hear his awful decision making in the name of I don't know what emotional reaction. Most people do not get to just use that as an excuse if they've committed a crime. So I don't think that's a good enough excuse for him. I would at least like to know what kind of education he plans to do for himself and the sheriff's department up there, so that they have a far deeper understanding of our country's history and what it is like to be a person of color, or any difference from heterosexual white people. And that it has to be a part of the sheriff's surface that they have this kind of education. And if he is not willing to re-educate himself like the rest of us have had to do, then he doesn't deserve to have the seat that he occupies. And I say that with a heavy heart, and I really, really hope that maybe he'll have his own come to God moment and realize the error of his ways and how he can make his sheriff's force so much better and inclusive. Barring that, I don't think he deserves his seat. That's all. Thank you for letting me share my thought.
Thank you.
Thanks. Abby Plaskoff.
Yes, good morning. I apologize. My camera won't work, so I'll be doing this off camera. But I am Abby Plaskoff, a resident of Ellsworth and an educator. I'd like to echo what others have said. I wonder what the commissioners will do to show support of our BIPOC community members and to hold the sheriff accountable for his actions, which were hateful and harmful. His statement this morning was completely inadequate and embarrassing, and the fact that he is not here to hear what people are saying shows that he has not learned from his mistakes. I sincerely hope that the commissioners take action, that you don't settle for rehiring Healthy Acadia as a solution, because this event has highlighted a larger problem of racism in our local system that needs to be addressed with education and action. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Israel Mosley.
Yes, thank you. My name is Israel Mosley. It has been said a couple of times that, like, how would a Black person feel? As a Black person and a veteran who has been to many BLM events, I'm completely insulted, because I know that there are many veterans who support Black Lives Matter, and to call those people the people who put their lives on the line for this country and then turned around and supported their fellow citizens terrorists is gross. On top of that, to silence or remove a contract because of someone else's political view in your official capacity is a violation of the First Amendment. You can't have a sheriff going around violating people's rights. That's just not a thing that should be allowed in America. It's not. And finally, like, I wonder if this has anything to do with the fact that the Maine Information and Analysis Center has been going around for months pushing out to local police departments and sheriff's offices crazy propaganda about the danger of BLM and the threat of Antifa terrorists, because that propaganda needs to stop. And if he has been getting that information from the Maine Information and Analysis Center, the county commission should look into severing any contact with that organization for their county. Thank you.
Thank you, Israel.
Okay, Courtney Allen.
Good morning. My name is Courtney Allen. I have many roles in the community, but in this present moment, I'm speaking as a person in long-term recovery and as a person with experience in the criminal justice system. And I am devastated for the last 7 months that people in recovery and people who are incarcerated have been without services with recovery coaches, and instead reinstating coaches on Friday does not wipe away the last 7 months that people have been on the inside without the health care that they need from the people that care about them most on the outside, people with lived experience and their peers, the people who can reconnect them to their society as they leave the criminal justice system and to the recovery community out here. The sheriff's response this morning, others have touched on, and I just want to reiterate that this reinstating recovery coaches on Friday does not wipe away what he has put people through for the last 7 months, and people who are incarcerated should be provided with retributions for that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. How about Brent Was?
Thank you. Hi, my name is Brent. I live on Cape Rozier, and I am the priest at St. Francis by the Sea in Blue Hill. The sheriff's statement was far insufficient, and the fact that he's here is that's an embarrassment to the county. That's really unfortunate. But there's also a really good story here. I'm new to Maine. We moved here right before the pandemic started from Oregon, and what is happening right now is democracy working. News came out. The Fourth Estate did their job and brought this to everyone's attention. Then people organized, made a big stink, and it changed. That is fantastic. That's how it works. Now the work continues. How do we actually do structural changes in our county? I'm thrilled to be here in Hancock County, where folks were able to mobilize this quickly and get a major decision reversed within a week and a half since the news broke. That's the good news here, and hopefully this will continue as we review the leadership of our law enforcement here in the county. It's great to be here in Hancock County. Thank you for all the great things you're doing. God bless.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Tracy Hare.
I don't have much to say. I sent my letter early on, but I just want to shout out to the folks who are here from Healthy Acadia. We run the homeless shelter downtown Ellsworth and 3 homeless shelters here in Orland, and a transitional house in Ellsworth for folks who have experienced recovery and release from jail. So Healthy Acadia doesn't need my reference, but they're boots on the ground solving homelessness. And I just urge the commissioners as we move forward in healing, bravo, that they'll be back in the jails. But I urge us as we move forward to keep in mind what recovery means and how a decision in the heat of the moment can impact somebody's recovery. So I just hope that the commissioners keep that very big context in their hearts and minds as they move forward. And thank you, Healthy Acadia, for all you do to help with our work and with folks in Ellsworth and Hancock County.
Thank you, Tracy.
Okay, how about Madam Sue?
It's unmuted, but I don't have any audio.
Hear me now?
Oh, yep, barely.
Okay.
A little closer to the mic, maybe, or something. I don't know.
How about now? Is this too loud?
That's good. Just speak right there. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take very long since my audio is bad, but I just did want to point out for the opposing side that those people would not have been in the jail anyway, just like the ministers that go in and offer a valuable service to the inmates were not allowed to go in because of COVID. So I think a lot of this is a bit moot. And I do also want to recognize that while every life in the world matters, Black Lives Matter is a avowed Marxist organization, and critical race theory is the poison that is going to really hurt our schools and jails. So I wanted to stand in support of the sheriff, which I knew I would probably be the only one, but somebody needs to stand in the light and the opposing side. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Adrian Caldwell, do you want to make a statement?
Sure. I'm a former New Yorker, and I just take extreme offense at Sheriff Kane's actions and statement that BLM is a terrorist group. I've protested all over for Black Lives Matter, and here in Bucksport, I went through 9/11 and saw the loss of many police officers, and I'm still traumatized from that. And to be associated as a terrorist, I just don't feel safe with him in office. And so much damage was caused by his actions, all 7 months of people not receiving treatment. How did he get that power? How did he get the ability to do that? And why did it take 7 months for us to find out? I don't think it should stop here. I don't think an apology is really going far enough. Why is he so uneducated as to the truth behind Black Lives Matter? And why would he say Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization? It's the same thing as saying all police commit police brutality. You can't apply the part to the whole, or there are separate factions that have caused a lot of the, any of the violence in the Black Lives Matter movement. And Black Lives Matter was not at the White House or the Capitol during the riots. So I guess I'll end my statement there. Thank you.
Thanks, Adrian.
Okay, I see Elaine Hughes would like to speak. Did you already speak? I don't want to cut anyone off.
No, I had said that I wasn't quite ready yet, but now I am. So if it's okay. I came to this meeting really hopeful to hear from Scott Kane a different word than we heard. I too was a teacher in the Sedgwick School, and my children went through the school there, and we held Scott Kane in high regard for what he did during the DARE. It was a program to help kids stay away from drugs. Anyway, I was very disappointed in his decisions around the Healthy Acadia folks and their presence in the jail, but thought, oh my goodness, he listened to the community. He's changed his mind, and that's such a sign of wisdom to be able to change one's mind and to publicly say so. So his absence from this part of the morning is more than disappointing to me. I think the only way we're going to make any inroads in the divisions in our community between those who who have been through programs that have helped us unlearn our history around whiteness and to learn the truth of our history, and those who maybe haven't had that opportunity. The only way we're going to bridge those divides is through sitting together and through being at the same table and through sharing our stories and through learning together. So my hope is that the commissioners would hereby set up some sort of group that would work together with folks on a variety of sides to start to bridge the differences and to learn and to listen from one another, so that we can move forward in a way that's healing for the whole community. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine.
Okay, I think that is everyone. Is there anyone who has not spoken who wishes to make a comment?
Rebecca, I have an Ann Bryant that just messaged into the chat.
Okay.
Ann, make sure you're unmuted if you're trying to speak.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Morning. Can hear you now.
I appreciate my name's Anne. I am from Brooklyn, and I would like to say that the issue here isn't what Black Lives Matter stands for, though I do appreciate my neighbor is trying to define that, because it's frustrating in this world to say how simple it is. But the issue here isn't what Black Lives Matter stands for. It's that on more than one occasion, Sheriff Kane has acted in a unilateral position of retaliation. In this case, some of the most vulnerable people in the jail's care and his care were denied services. Healthy Acadia did not present a threat to Hancock County inmates, which is the only reason why they might have been removed as a service provider. Our inmates deserve empathy in the face of addiction. In Brooklyn and the Blue Hill Peninsula in general, we rarely have law enforcement as a presence, and we live in a peaceful place with very occasional intervention from state and county enforcement. Sheriff Kane feels threatened and emotional, as he honestly admitted in his statement this morning, and perhaps we should listen to that and find a sheriff who can see our county for what it is, a peaceful community that needs gentle guidance from time to time, and a place where mutual trust is understood and honored. Sheriff Kane thinks he needs riot gear here. It's easily observed that that's not where we live. I'm proud of our local news organizations for uncovering this, and I'm proud of Healthy Acadia for what they do, and I'm proud to live in Hancock County. Thank you very much for this meeting.
Thanks, Ann.
Rebecca?
Yes.
I'd like to do one sentence of what I passed over.
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Kane cannot know and doesn't know what he said about Black Lives Matter. And he doesn't, that's because he doesn't have the intelligence apparatus or analytical resources to determine it, or even the authority to declare it. Advancing it as a rationale for denying vital health services to a population locked up in his care is dereliction of duty and admission of unsuitability in role, and should oblige his resignation or removal.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay. How about Kim Hamill?
Hi, my name is Kimberly Hamill, and I am a mental health counselor, and I'm also a white person who is trying to be anti-racist in the world. And as a mental health counselor, it is hugely upsetting to think about the sheriff punishing inmates in the jail over political views related to Black Lives Matter. It feels punishing to Healthy Acadia, it feels punishing to the inmates, and completely unnecessary. And to recognize Black Lives Matter is to recognize a lament over racism, an outcry to the public, asking us to address racism when it happens. And so the charge of this committee, the county commissioners, is to address racism when it happens. And this is institutional racism, and it needs to be addressed. And the community has asked for it to be addressed in a number of different ways. And it is important to listen and to be active when it comes to ending institutional racism. And this is how we end it. by listening to the people in the community who are asking for it to end and taking action against a sheriff who has shown that he is not able to be trusted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak who has not already spoken?
Yes, I'd like to speak. Royce Harden. Go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, I live in Penobscot with my husband, David Jolly, who spoke earlier, and I just really appreciate all the comments that have been made here today. One reason we moved to Hancock County, we bought a place in Hancock County in 2005 and moved here in 2016, was because we felt as a gay couple totally accepted and supported in this community. And I really feel for people of color who live in Hancock County, not having that feeling of acceptance and support. It's very disappointing. I'm a volunteer with the Health Equity Alliance in Ellsworth. We provide vital services to people who are actively injecting drugs, harm reduction services, and harm reduction, and also referrals to organizations such as Healthy Acadia and the services they provide, so that these people can live a full and meaningful life when they're ready. And it's just so disappointing that the commissioners, I think, have allowed this to happen. I cannot believe that you all found out about this the same time we did last week. And so, you know, it's disappointing to me, not only of Sheriff Kane's response, but the fact that I feel as if you, the county commissioners, have also been somewhat derelict in your duty. And I just like to express those things and hope that we all can move on from here in a manner that brings resolution for everyone involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, is there anyone else who hasn't spoken who would wish to speak?
Yes, I would.
Sarah?
Yep, okay.
I'm Sarah Schneider. I'm a person who works with people in the capacity of their voices. I'm a singing coach, and I also through my life have been working with voice on a deeper level. And so I just want to say that with that type of emotional preface, here's the colon before what I really mean. As much as most of us here at this meeting are advocates for all the things that we have said, I know that we are just the tip of the iceberg for people of all ages who are dealing with the issues that we've talked about today, who are not able to come. Maybe they don't even know about this meeting, and that's no one's fault. There's no fault. But I do think that we're just the tip of the iceberg. We're people who are able at this moment to express these kinds of, it's really beyond opinion. It's how we are going to survive as culture. And that's what I have to say. And thank you for listening. And thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, Susan, have you spoken yet? Susan Buell?
I did speak, yes, I've spoken.
Oh, okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak who has not already made a comment?
I do.
Okay.
So I've received over 100 emails in the last week, all wanting Healthy Acadia back, providing recovery coaching. The vast majority of those emails are asking the sheriff to resign or be removed from office. A personal political opinion resulted in Hancock County Jail inmates losing recovery coaching. Ending a contract with Healthy Acadia without any consultation with the county commissioners is an insult to the body. The financial fallout has not even been discussed. Healthy Acadia financially supported programs outside of recovery coaching. Since 2013, the Sheriff's Office received nearly $70,000 in funds from Healthy Acadia to support Sheriff Office programs such as DARE, Drug Take Back, Hancock County Alcohol Enforcement, and RIDE teams. Over $11,000 in funds for programs was walked away from when the relationship was severed in June of 2020. There's been questions about when the commissioners knew the relationship ended. I'll be honest, I don't know Commissioner Clark's answer to that, but I can tell you mine. I found out after the contract had been ended in July when Healthy Acadia contacted me privately, wondering what could be done. At that point, it was considered a confidential reach out to me. And essentially, my suggestion was that they should formally put in a request to the commissioners to address the situation. I did give a heads up to the county administrator that he might see an email coming in from Healthy Acadia. But I never heard anything back on it. So several weeks later, I think it was, I'll be honest, some of the time frames are kind of hard for me to remember at this point. I called them back and asked what was happening. And I don't want to put words in Healthy Acadia's mouth because it's hard for me to kind of remember all this details really. But essentially, there had been a decision on their end that they didn't want the county commissioners to take any action, that they felt it would be counterproductive to them trying to get the issue resolved with the sheriff's office. So I'll take some responsibility on my part as a county commissioner that I should, after a time, have been proactively trying to find out what was happening with the situation, whether the sheriff had contracted with new coaches, whether Healthy Acadia had made any inroads with them. So for that part, I apologize, and that's something I have a lot of regrets about at this point. So as to the question of should the sheriff resign, I do think he should resign. I got some good advice from somebody over the last day or two that was reached out to me. I'm not going to say who they were, but it boiled down to that all elected officials in the state of Maine take the same oath to uphold the Constitution and the state constitution, and that it's as much my responsibility as the sheriff's to make sure that we stay true to our oaths. So I do call for his resignation, unfortunately. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay. Would anyone else like to make a comment who's not already made one?
I would like to add a comment if I could, please. This is David Weeda from Bucksport.
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rebecca.
It'll be very brief. I want to, on the spot, congratulate and thank County Commissioner Wambacher. The bravery it took for him to speak and the thoughtfulness of his words. And that gives me great hope that we are on the right track to resolving this in a fashion that will show that we are committed to dismantling systemic racism, dismantling any sort of non-transparency that might exist in our municipal and county government, and hopefully our state governments. We have so many things to be looking at in the future that lawmakers are essential in the process, that they uphold their oath to the Constitution, as well as their ethical values of compassionate reasoning with the community. Thank you so much. Thank you, Commissioner Wambacher.
Thank you.
Okay, it appears that everybody has had the ability to speak this morning. Thank you for your comments. We're going to move now on with the agenda. And so, gentlemen, if you'd look back at your agenda, a motion is in order now to approve the minutes of January 19th.
I'm going to approve the minutes of the January 19th special meeting as presented.
Second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity?
Yes.
And I am myself. Motion carries. Next item is the bid opening for the roof job over the Sheriff's Department's portion of the courthouse. Logistically, this morning, ordinarily I would have been in the courthouse doing Zoom, but I had weather-related forced me to stay home this morning. So anyways, I brought the bids home early this morning, opened those, recorded the results, put them back, and took them back to the courthouse so our maintenance director could review those in time to make a recommendation this morning. So I'd like to give the board the results of those bids. The first bid I opened was from GR Roofing in Brewer. Their amount for the project was $57,575. Second envelope was from Roof Systems of Maine in Bangor. Their bid was $74,430. The next one was Hanel Brothers in Bangor. Their bid was $47,350. And the last bid was Kevin Smith and Son of Standish, and their bid was $83,500. Dennis, you on with us this morning? Dennis?
Yes.
Okay, have you had an opportunity to review the bids I sent back to you this morning?
Yes, I have, sir.
Are you prepared to make a recommendation based upon the bids?
Yes, I am.
And what is your recommendation?
I recommend that we accept the bid of Hanel Brothers of Bangor, $47,350.
Let the record reflect that that was the lowest of the four bids. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
I move that we approve the bid from Hanel and Brothers Company for the $47,350.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity?
Yes.
And I am myself, the motion carries. Dennis, anything else from maintenance this morning?
I do have items on the agenda, but I believe we're coming after the airport.
Okay, I see that, sure. Okay, thank you very much. Then
Yes,
let's
thank
move
you.
to the, yeah, let's move to the airport. Leroy, are you on this morning?
I sure am. I don't have anything really other than the monthly report. We'll just update a little bit. The Silver Airways account has still not been settled. Had some conversations or an email back and forth with Rudman Winchell. We'll leave that to a later date. We're under our annual FAA inspection. They requested some documents last week. Got them off to them on Friday. So we're waiting to see what other documents they're going to want. The only other thing we had was we're trying to consolidate maybe the lead ARF with something with the town of Trenton. That's still very early in discussions. Maybe a part-time person here, a part-time person over at the firehouse in Trenton. So those are really the three highlights that I had off the report.
You must be quite busy today down there, I suspect, huh?
Yeah. Let's see, Richard and Todd were here at 4. I was here at 5:30, and actually it's looking pretty good as long as it doesn't rain.
Well, I was out at 5:45 this morning, and it was already pinging on the windshield. I was suspecting it was starting to turn over, but I can't tell what it's doing. But all right, gentlemen, we need to let Leroy get back to work. But is there anything you want to discuss before he does?
I'm just going to move to accept and file his the airport manager's memo as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, Commissioner Wambacher,
Yes.
Commissioner Parity.
Yes.
I am myself, motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Let's move then back to maintenance. Gentlemen, you have Dennis's monthly report.
Yes.
The piece of that I was pleased to see was his updated capital improvement plan. I was especially pleased to see that he had anticipated, I don't know if it's anticipation or it's just to make sure he gets enough money in there to cover it, but he had set aside $100,000 for the roof job that we just approved, and that came in at less than half of that. So that's good news that as he's going to have substantial monies left over there to put towards other projects. Gentlemen, do you have his plan, his 5-year plan in front of you, his 10-year, 20-year plan in front of you?
Yes.
Yeah. Any comment with regards to his monthly report or the 20-year plan?
No.
Hearing none, a motion is in order to accept his report.
Yeah, I'm going to move to accept and file as presented in his memo dated the 26th.
Second.
I'd
like the record to reflect too that also includes the 20-year plan that he submitted. Is that okay, Paul?
Yes, I'll, yes.
Good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity? And I am myself, motion carries. Dennis, you would like to employ an individual as a janitor?
Where'd you go?
I don't know. But gentlemen, you see that item B is, what's your pleasure on his request?
I'm going to move to hire Gary Brooks of Dedham as full-time janitor effective January 30th at a pay grade. Step 5C is requested.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity?
Yes.
I am myself, motion carries. Dennis, did we lose you?
I didn't see him on there, Commissioner.
Apparently we did, that he doesn't have any other agenda items, so we're going to move on then to the RCC.
Yep.
Morning, Bob.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. The only other thing I had, unless you have any questions on my report, would be we've got most of our staff being vaccinated, COVID-19 vaccines through Blue Hill Hospital. On my first item in my report there, we had that big scare a while back with one of our staff members being positive. I felt it was very necessary to kind of step around the county or the Maine EMS's hierarchy of who they were going to vaccinate because of the critical work that we do. So we were able to do that with the hospital and get our staff started on the vaccine protocols. The only other thing, I sent you the report I got from Brown's Communications on the tower. I think right now at this point everything's kind of on hold with Rick Honeywell's medical situation. I think it kind of felt flat on what we got back based on what we asked for, and I'll take the hit on that. I don't think I was specific enough with them to ask for alternatives other than simply running power to the site from a grid. So I'll revisit that when Rick's well and back in action. I think he'll be out of service for probably a couple months, give and take, for his recovery. We'll revisit that solution up there. I kind of hope to have some alternatives. If running uninterrupted power wasn't an option, what else can we do to make the site better? Didn't really get that. Their preference to have that site as operational as possible was a different AC power source, and that's may or may not be realistic, given the rotating, who's in charge up there this week, because they change hands all the time, and their reluctance in the past to allow us to interrupt their services up there for repairs. So we'll revisit that again when Rick's better. And unless you have any other questions.
Gentlemen, anything further with regards to the RCC director?
My only question is, obviously this has been, excuse me being new, but this has been the situation for a while now, so a few months is not going to really impact anything.
No, we've been pretty fortunate with the we were able to move some of the equipment in the. For instance, just to give you a kind of a background, this radio site is powered by basically off the breaker panel in one windmill up there. And we've literally for the last year and a half or so have been kind of running on hope and a prayer up there with sometimes we have power, sometimes we don't. Some of the solutions have been well met and have worked most of the time. But to get that site to be 99% reliable versus 89% or 86% reliable, this is what we've been looking at doing, but it's not going to change anything. But since they've moved some of the equipment out of the basement area of this tower, it's been much more reliable. And there's a few things that we probably can do to make it a little even better. But I don't think it's a showstopper for the next several months for Rick to get back into where there's some of these issues that we're looking at.
Thank you. So I'm going to move to accept and file the RCC PSAT data report. Report is presented.
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Faraday?
Yes.
I am myself. Motion carries. Bob, anything else from RCC?
I can't think of it.
You as well as the airport must be busy today, huh?
It doesn't look like it's too bad right now. It's
Is that right? Yep.
No, it wasn't a lot on the CAD, so we'll hopefully it'll stay that way.
Good. I think they had a lot of warning, and the way it came, I think it gave people an opportunity to stay off the roads, which is good.
Yeah. Very, very little traffic on the commute in this morning, so hopefully everybody stayed home.
Gentlemen, as I had indicated earlier, whatnot, it's almost 5 minutes of 10. I need to leave the meeting. Do you want to continue on, or can we take a break? What do you want to do?
I encourage taking a break.
Okay, I'll be back in less than 10 minutes, I hope. So we're going to be in recess until sometime after 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to leave the present session open until you reconvene. Thank you.
Okay. There's John. Okay. Okay, gentlemen, are we ready to go?
Yep.
Thank you for indulging me. I appreciate that. So I'm going to call us back into session. And we'll go to the treasurer's report.
I'm hoping to leave like around 1.
Whenever.
Oh, give me 8 hours.
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully this, we'll see how this goes for us. But
Dennis, you want to, thank you. Gentlemen, I draw your attention first of all to our warrant memo for January's warrant. What's your pleasure?
I'd like to approve the warrant as presented.
Second.
Did you second that, Paul? I didn't hear that.
Yes.
Nope. Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve the January warrant memo. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor. Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity?
Yes.
I am myself, the motion carries. We're still undecided, at least the financial office is, exactly what we would like them to prepare for us at the regular meeting from the financial reports. What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
Well, I mean, I didn't really see an issue with how we had done it in the past in terms of some of the basic accounts that we would look over, including the delinquencies and some of the account balance information, just so we know where it's at. I'm not sure what other thoughts you two have.
You know, the lengthy accounts, the revenue and expenditure reports, were you looking for those too, as John?
Not really.
I mean, we have access. Yeah, we have access to those now through our Trio.
Yeah.
So what if we said we'd like to have our warrant memo, we'd like to have an update on our accounts receivable report, we'd like to have a, that's just that one page Machias Savings Bank balances. And does that suffice? Anything else, gentlemen, you'd like to see?
I'd just like to see just a short memo of any trends, point out any anomalies. If there are none, state so, just calling our attention to something. If something's trending one direction, just let us know. That kind of thing.
And that would be a report that Scott Adkins would have to prepare. That's beyond, I think, Pam's ability. Correct, Scott?
Yeah. I think that's something I can definitely draft up. And I was thinking maybe a quarterly analysis. We could go over, the revenue and expenses of, budgetary, jail, and airport as the 3 major entities. And if there's anything outside in the other 2 funds, and you want something in between, just email me.
Yeah. And, my suggestion was just something basic. I'm not asking for.
Yep.
And that would be periodic, Paul, or as needed, or quarterly, or?
I'm used to it monthly, but, quarterly would be fine.
I'll put a blurb in monthly at the first meeting like this, when you have the treasurer stuff, just something from the office indicating whether things are fine or if there are any issues, and name them.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're looking for. Yep.
That's it.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, great. I think we have a sense now of what we're looking for future reports for the Treasurer's Office. So that's all we got for reports today. So let's move on to item D, the recapitulation assessment of county tax.
I'm gonna move to approve and sign recapitulation assessment of county taxes as presented.
Second that.
Recapitulation.
There you go.
Right.
You gotta say it with a lift, but just little Sylvester, yeah.
So the county taxable portion of a county budget is $6,628,882, Scott.
That sounds right. Yep. I reviewed it, so it should be accurate.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure, we got the state valuation for Hancock County, but we're looking at the county tax.
Correct.
So let the record reflect that the motion, it involves $6,628,882 for the 2021 county tax, which will be assessed proportionally to each municipality and UT.
Yep.
Any further discussion, gentlemen, on the motion? All in favor? Commissioner
Yes.
Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity? I am myself. Motion carries. Scott, anything else we need to consider under the treasurer's office?
No, just a quick comment. We've transferred over to the new trio. It's a work in progress. We've hit a couple of snags. I'm putting pressure on the next level above management, and I got a response this morning. So that's why you really don't have anything aside. I was going to send something simple, but yeah, too many snags right now. So
Newer.
Well, that's good.
Newer is always better, Scott. Yeah, right. Okay. Then let's go on to our COVID-19 update. Scott, gentlemen, Scott updates and prepares for us a continuing report, operational update on the general consensus we've made for how we want to deal with the virus on a temporary basis. These are not policies. They're just a temporary memos, temporary orders from the commissioner's office with regards to how we're going to conduct. Later in the meeting, we have a request from the sheriff and whatnot for an exception to one of them. And it has to do with the policy we adopted, temporary policy we adopted with regards to no off-campus meetings. And the policy as it's written right now requires commissioner approval for any variance to that. And I really think that's somewhat unworkable. I think there are a number of cases where it's common sense. And a good example would be if the U.S. Attorney's Office in Bangor called for a conference to prepare a case in their office in Bangor, and we had to have 2 or 3 deputies who were involved in that investigation. It would be impractical for them to ask for our permission to leave and have a meeting off campus. So I would like to, in our policy right now, it says attending any off-campus seminars, in-person meetings, unless approved by the commissioners. I'd like to remove prior approval by the commissioners and add unless the department head considers this meeting critical to the employee's work requirements, and let the department heads basically decide when it's critical for them to have an off-campus meeting. What is your pleasure?
I think I'd support that change as long as I think the emphasis is good for critical. I don't want to start seeing, some. I guess I just don't want to make a change and then get the email that 4 people are infected from going to a seminar. I want it to be something that is critical to their education, licensing, what have you. Obviously, the sheriff has to deal a lot with keeping the deputies certified and everything. So I don't want to make that harder for them.
And I think they all understand. I mean, a lot of them had monthly meetings that they were going to, association meetings. And I think they understand that we're discouraging that, and they've complied with that very well. And I think the sheriff is probably the main exception to this, in that there are a few occasions where the law enforcement in jail would have to go off campus for a meeting. And I think it's impractical for them to have to come to us every time and get our approval before they do that. So, Paul, what do you think?
Well, I read over the policy, and I since we meet twice a month, I didn't really see a need to change it, since we could give exceptions, but I'm not against, your proposal at all. In fact, if I'm for it, if it does make it more workable.
I think on most cases that we can accommodate the present policy. I think it's just more practical and less cumbersome if we give some faith in our department heads to carry this out prudently. So I'm going to move. Wait a minute. This doesn't require our approval. It's by general consensus. Scott Adkins can make this update to his update memo here, whatever he calls this. So Scott, do you understand the intent and what we'd like to see in your update?
Yep.
Okay, so gentlemen, I guess by general consensus, Scott's going to rewrite this to give some discretion to the department heads in a situation where it's critical to their job requirements. So I'll let Scott decide what language he wants to use, to carry that out. So Scott, anything further with regards to your update?
No, that was really basically the reason that it's on there. Beside a standing, everything is still functioning. I don't want to jinx it, but it looks like, on the outside, things are getting a little better. Vaccinations, as our CC director Connor reported, are starting to happen. And people are complying, as you stated, and let's just keep doing it.
Yeah, I was going to see if Bob would hire me as a water boy or something, just long enough so I could get my shot. I've signed up, but yeah, right, Bob. I've signed up. Of course, I'm on the list, but who knows what that means? And so I really would. My wife's a critical care worker in the adult care business, and so she was able to get hers. But I'm still waiting for mine. I have no idea when and if that's going to come. So, all right. If there's nothing else, let's move on to the jail. Morning, Tim.
Good morning. We should be able to get through this quickly. First one is request permission to promote part-time corrections officer Robert Lizzie to full-time corrections officer effective February 13th at grade step 9C.
So moved as requested.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, Commissioner Wambacher,
Yes.
Commissioner Parity,
Yes.
and I am myself. Motion carries. Tim?
Request to transfer Matthew Sasha from corrections corporal to jail administrative assistance effective February 6, 2021 as step grade 10 G2 on the airport non-union wage scale.
So moved as requested.
Second.
Rebecca, have you reviewed this for the correct grade and step? I mean, have you talked to Rebecca about this, Tim?
Yes, I have. We confirmed this, and that I had her make sure that it was correct before she put it on the agenda.
Thank you for working with her. I really think that makes it much easier for us if we know that Rebecca has reviewed this, that everything is technically correct. And thank you for staying in touch with HR. Gentlemen, anything further with regards to the motion?
Nope.
Hearing none. All in favor, Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Parity?
Yes.
And I am myself. Motion carries.
Request to remove Noah Louie and Randy Dunbar from the county payroll.
So moved as requested.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity?
Yes.
And I am myself.
Request approval of job description for the jail records clerk.
So moved as requested.
Second.
Okay, we're gonna have to take a minute though and look at that. We have had a jail records clerk job description in place, even though we haven't had anybody in that position. Is that correct, Tim?
That is correct.
Are you modifying that original job description?
Yes, I'm just adding a few new tasks. As you see, we get later in the thing, we have another agenda item. May cause some restructuring of the jail, so I'm just want to update this job description in case we go this way, so we all were on the same page. If we end up moving it into the, creating this position, because we're going to have a couple vacancies, and just give me an option for the restructuring of the jail if we come to that.
Okay, so what did you do? Add duties to the?
That's it. Yep, handling a few funds, assist with the community corrections duties, such stuff like that. If we end up going to this, nothing that anything more than we could at the bottom. Anything else advised by, but just to clarify this job description with a couple additions.
Okay, but sometimes these have implications that it don't occur to us until they come up. And for example, if it adds to the duties, or if it takes on duties from a higher grade, at some point we get the request that we should be upgrading the position because of the increased duties and responsibilities. So I guess my question would be, do you think the added duties here warrant an increase in the grade?
No, I do not.
Okay, I'm going to remind you of that when that person comes to us and says, I want more money because I'm working harder than the old jail clerk did.
Yeah, just a couple. It's just that, they've always handled the inmate funds. And now we have a JPay machine out front, the kiosk, and that's just going to be picking up that, just to clarify that is their duty. I mean, it's really no addition. It's just a change of duty, basically. It's just rewording how we handle the funds. That's all it is.
Chair.
Yes.
This is a union position, Tim?
This is correct.
Has this been reviewed with the union at all, or?
I have talked to the union steward, yes.
And it looks like they're on board with it, and?
Yes, because they feel that this duties that should be underneath that position, and
okay,
it's just again, this may not be the way we go, but I just want to clarify that if we do go that way, we're not we can be upfront with the individual as we move forward if we go this way.
Right. I just think that will help dispel some of the chair's concerns if you've talked to the union about this.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Gentlemen, you have the request of the jail administrator for approval for the modified job description for jail records clerk. Was there a motion on the floor, Rebecca?
Yes.
Yes. It's been done.
Yeah.
The motion's made. Motion made and seconded.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's right too. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity?
Yes.
And I am myself, motion carries.
Request approval to set the pay rate of part-time jail cook at $14 per hour.
So moved as requested.
Second.
And I guess when you can go out to McDonald's and get 15 an hour, we're still competing with.
What's the
ahead.
change here? Is there an actual change in pay that we're talking about, or?
Is that an increase, Tim?
Yes, they were 12 with the 13. Now we're looking at trying to get them to 14. See if we can gain a little bit of interest. We're getting no interest. We're just trying to.
Sounds good.
We have a part-time budget line for this. We've drawn nothing from that since for a while now.
Right, and currently you're paying well over that for overtime, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Good point. All right, gentlemen, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity?
Yes.
And I am myself, motion carries.
The next one is approval of jail administrator's weekly on-call comp time agreement.
You were
That was
going to
draft-
discuss, excuse me, Tim, you were going to discuss the recording system? Is that on your agenda?
Oh, yep. Jails, yes, discussion to regard upgrade of a jail recording system. Our jail, we have two systems. Each records half of the jail at the same time. We had one side fail last week. This isn't as urgent as I thought it was going to be because we did get IT up there, and between IT and Shepherd, they was able to. We lost all of the memory, but we are moving forward with the recording system. So had a lot going on this week. I really didn't get a chance to get any quotes other than one. So I think I need to just push this off till next month. See if we can, one, we'll monitor what we have and see how it's going to run, and two, I'll gain some quotes by then, because I just have one and I just need to look at some more options.
So you don't need any action from us to seek those?
Correct. Not at this time. We do have, we have it up and running, and we're monitoring it, and we will have to do something in the future. But right now, I think we're safe to move forward as we are, and I'll do some more investigating and get some solid quotes so we can have a formal discussion on it.
Tim, is there any, I'm not sure, obviously, the details of, the monies involved, but is there ever anything that's like extra that we're able to apply for to help defer the cost if we do have to have an outside vendor come in and really put in a whole new system that can get applied for? I just wondered.
We can, at the end of the year, as we have in the past, worked with Scott Atkins, administrators, and try and gain some supplemental funding on items. But with the BOC, really, what we used to have, the Board of Corrections, that was really our tool to use, no longer available. It's pretty much done through our supplemental funding, or we can look at looking for grants that we're always looking for. We have not seen anything that would cover such.
Okay. Thanks.
So, gentlemen, there is no action needed on this agenda item. If there's nothing else, Tim, we'll move on.
Okay. Approval of jail administrator's weekly on-call comp time agreement that was drafted up by the HR department.
Remember, gentlemen, we talked about this, giving the jail administrator this extra compensation while he was acting as, what are you acting as, Tim?
I was on-call duty officer with the vacancy of the community corrections of the administrative assistant position.
While he's acting as a duty officer, that's correct.
So moved as presented.
Second.
This is really just memorializing what we've already agreed to earlier. So all those in favor of the motion, Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity?
Yes.
I am myself.
And my final is accept the resignation of Community Corrections Sergeant Jonathan Merchant effective February 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Now, is it still the case, Tim, that what is it, 15% of your community corrections reimbursement has to go to? Is that correct? Has to go to the community corrections sergeant.
Yeah, there's a set amount now that we use, and I have
set amount.
Yeah.
And so, in order to get that, do we have to retain the position of community corrections officer?
I have reached out to Scott Ferguson, which handles the financial from the state that handles these funds. We do not. We just we can prorate another position. Just as long as I have documentation proving the hours that they were acting as community correction officer.
And what is that set amount? Do you remember?
Scott, you help me. It was around 50,000 this year.
Yeah, the amount, yeah, it's like, was it 20%? 20% of, I believe, our distribution. That's
So it is
changed
a-
back and forth many times, but
It is a percentage, Scott.
yeah, we have to at least minimally spend that percentage. And actually, yeah, there is a designated amount out of that. You're right, Tim. Now it's popping in, it's like 53,700, something like that. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's where it comes from, a percentage of our allocation out of the entire pot.
Well, Jesus, Tim, at 53,000, that's pretty much a full-time officer, though, isn't it?
Yes, that's what we've been running for the community corrections was for, they've been paying that,
Yeah, but
covering that cost.
You said that if you could designate some of somebody's work and keep track of it, but that would mean that whoever did this that wasn't a community corrections officer would have to spend literally most of their time doing community correction specialist work, wouldn't they?
You are correct. Or, some of my duties have fallen underneath that. Some of Lieutenant Shepard's duties has fallen underneath that over the last, and actually jail administrative assistant has fallen, some of their duties with electronic monitoring stuff, that's falling underneath that, that title also.
Okay. All right. So, gentlemen, we have a motion on the floor to accept the resignation. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, Commissioner Wambacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Parity?
Yes.
I am myself. Anything else from the jail, Tim?
No, just we're talking the COVID vaccinations. We have staff that are doing that through right here at Maine Coast Memorial are actively. We have some that's getting ready close to the second shots. So we have that. They've been doing that through our local hospital.
This is excellent news. Between the law enforcement, jail, and the RCC, that they've created more scares than the rest of county government. And for those people to get finally vaccinated is going to take a lot of pressure off in the county to keep us all safe. So we're awful glad to hear that.
Yep.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Okay. So I think Pat is on this morning. Pat Kane, you here with us?
I am, Commissioner.
Pat, we just changed the we're going to change, Scott's going to change the policy with regards to needing commissioner approval for off-campus meetings. Did you hear that discussion?
I did.
Okay. Do you still want us to take action on your request today, or do you want to just fall back on that amended policy?
I believe that's going to be a satisfactory, Commission. If when I see the end result, if there's a concern, I'll certainly reach back out, but I think we're okay.
Just out of curiosity, what was the issue today?
With the trainings?
Yeah, with needing our approval for something off campus. What was going on?
I have two trainings coming up, one of which are with the state police as it relates to the investigation of child solicitation, which will probably take place in Vassalboro, which is myself and Detective Jennings. So we're looking to schedule that. That's been about a year in the making. And the second one is Dakota Dupuy to attend a training session for his certification for intoxilizer operator so that he can keep the rest of us certified as well. And that's going to be in March, I believe.
So as you heard the discussion this morning, you feel confident that that meets our desire to limit this to critical issues, correct?
I do, unless something changes with the stance, with the virus they're all dealing with. So at this point, I'm comfortable with it. Well, I guess it's as this thing ebbs and flows, we'll have to see where it goes from there. But
sure, great. And I think maybe as we get everybody vaccinated, get beyond that, give them the second shot and get beyond that 2-week point, will give us more confidence that they could attend something. Just as you talked about the academy down at Vassalboro, very disturbing conversation, not disturbing, but got some disturbing news yesterday in talking with a member of the state police that I understand now that 2 of the last basic academies have been canceled. There is a possibility the third one might not start again. And for the state police, that meant they would be down something like 30 troopers, new troopers that wouldn't come on board. And the troop that covers Hancock and Washington County has been severely affected by promotions and transfers and not getting new troopers from out of these basic academies. And so it sounds to me like it's going to be some tough sledding for the sheriff's department to cover all complaints, given the loss of assistance from the state police. Is that correct, Pat?
That is correct. And that's really been our stance for, I don't know, about a year and a half since they repositioned some of their assets, I guess for lack of a better term, to be able to assist us with call coverage. I mean, we've seen just in the past year, our calls for service were up around 12 or 1,300 calls, which is substantial when you're already stretched thin. So it's going to be a long year, I'm sure of it.
Yep, it's going to be a long year. Okay, Pat, is that all you need from us this morning?
I do. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Gentlemen, that concludes our agenda. Our next meeting is going to be, would be scheduled on February 16th. And I would just ask Scott and Rebecca, that is the day after a holiday, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. You guys seem to always be able to pull that off though, but is that unworkable? I mean, should we try to avoid that? I know John, it sets his days off months in advance, and so it would be difficult probably for him to get a different day. But I mean, if that was truly unworkable, we would certainly like to think if we could accommodate a change in date if that's necessary. Rebecca?
Yeah, for me, it works fine. We can make it happen.
Good. We'll appreciate that. Okay. So, gentlemen, anything else this morning?
Commissioner, I was called away.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dennis, I intended to bring you back. Yep, I was intended to bring, no, I'm sorry. We've already taken care of your bid process. Yeah, would you need something?
Yeah, I have a hire I'd like to approve.
Yeah, that already went through. Yeah.
Oh, we
That's what-
we
yeah,
took
that's
care
what
of that in your
that's what we
absence.
missed.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. I had a frozen pipe situation.
Yeah, that's more important. We can take care of your work. Yep. You're all set, Dennis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep. Anything else, gentlemen? Anything else, Scott, Rebecca?
I think I'm good.
Hearing none, a motion in order to adjourn, gentlemen.
Seconded.
Motion is made, seconded to adjourn. All in favor, Commissioner Wambacher,
Yes.
Commissioner Parity? I am myself. We are adjourned. Thank you for your
everyone.
participation.